to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Amali, and we are joined.
Sorry.
First of all, this is Espresso, and I'll let Amali introduce his best friend.
Friend of the show.
Oh boy, we've just been joining studio by Public Enemy number 2. Public Enemy number 1 is thing from
Public Works.
From Public Works.
Oh, because I was just about to ask who is number 1, you know.
I can't.
No, like Public number 1 is Jonathan Powell after he cancelled Carnival.
Oh, right.
No, we don't forget.
Number 2 is Gilbert from Public Works.
Right.
No,
Number
I
3.
think we don't forget about Janelle. He been demoted on the scale.
What did Gilbert do?
What did Gilbert do? Why they were
Much-
asking
a
the
lot.
first place they come in here, say things that people didn't want to hear.
Fixing the wood? That's what he's doing.
You see that
Fixing the
comment,
wood.
don't start to defend nonsense. Him. Well. Anyway, we've just been joined in the studio by Superintendent Cromwell Henry. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Division Commander for Division number 1, I believe.
Division A.
Oh yeah. Division A Commander. He's also the guy that they said we should speak to about traffic, as well as
Everything else.
everything else. Basically, he's the commissioner.
Basically.
No, not at all. Far from it.
Every time I'm going to issue the police, they say, bye.
Talk to
I'm
him.
going to talk to Cromwell. Every single time. So, welcome, sir. How are you?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we can tell.
Oh.
Huh?
Oh.
It's sarcasm. You don't seem happy to be here at all.
I kind of
What's a media company? I'm happy.
gave him a
okay.
warning before he came in.
What is that?
I kind of gave him a warning before he came in. Well, not a warning. I just asked him if he was ready for the tough questions. So he kind of
Tough
put on
questions.
his...
Tough question.
And I can recall
This is a place of love. This is a safe space.
It is.
the last time a president was asked that question, his response was, "Will you ask the other guy easy questions?
Were you asking me the hard ones?
Will you ask me the hard ones?"
But who was the president? The president is who have to get the hard questions.
Right, and he was ducking the hard questions, so I'm not the president.
So you shouldn't be answering this.
So why should I get the hard questions?
Oh boy. Well, let us dive right into it. I mean, this conversation is well anticipated for people who, because every Monday we have traffic talk
Yes.
with Donnelly, and people ask a lot of tough questions to Donnelly as well, and obviously they're above for pig grade.
She can handle herself most times.
Yeah, she does. But there are certain questions and conversations that require, somebody of more seniority to comment on them. And we always send to, the commander for Division A.
We're not the head of traffic.
When they hit the traffic,
Yes.
but they say you're the better guy to speak to for that. They could be wrong, so I'm just following the instructions that the other people gave me.
Okay.
Okay, so it's for you to say, bye, no, talk to somebody else.
Well,
Which I suspect is what will happen.
So come on, help me. Is really the police version of they? They do something or ask them.
Oh,
or
he's
ask
there?
them. Yeah, everything is there. Everything is.
They wouldn't give us a break.
Yes, everything is coming.
That is the face of day.
that sounds like a scapegoat.
Yes, I like that.
He said not as it.
I like that. So let's jump into some traffic conversations first and foremost. People have been complaining a lot about the traffic lights downtown. There are a few issues, mostly about timing, right? I mean, we have a few things like. Well, actually, let me start with a more overarching conversation, which is the traffic laws in general. Traffic laws have been there for quite some time. Some people feel like they're outdated and they need to be updated and reviewed and reassessed, etc. To reflect our more modern society. I mean, we were speaking to Donnelly and Bissett a few weeks ago, and they indicated that failure to indicate isn't necessarily against any law in St Kitts, so you can actually turn
Without signaling.
and it's on the traffic. Oh, wow. This start lovely.
I'm ready. So, this is my favorite topic. Tell me more about this. This.
Hold on. Let me finish
Okay,
the
finish.
preamble first and then we dive into the conversation.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
So we have things like failing to indicate, which allegedly isn't against the law, which I believe should be. Because
It is, yeah.
oh wow. People complain a lot about the behavior of bus drivers on the road and the lack of bus stops and buses stopping haphazardly wherever they feel like.
In roundabouts.
That was last week too. Buses stopping in roundabouts to let out people in the roundabout. and lack of bus stops. Taxis doing detours at 5 miles per hour during traffic hour downtown, obstructing traffic.
Still?
Oh. Oh, so that was supposed to stop?
Well,
Bike glad to hear you.
no, there have been no cruise ships for the past 6 months. So
Oh, yeah.
that's what I meant to the system.
Oh, okay. And of course, other things that obstruct traffic, like driving below a particular speed on a bypass road, having the whole bypass blocked up.
Without hazard signals on.
Nothing wrong with the car. You just decide to drive 5 miles per hour on the bypass road. The bypass road is designed to avert that kind of driving, right?
That is an offense.
Oh my gosh, right? So how the question is how and what can be done to revise our traffic laws to reflect our more modern society, and to and can civilians actually participate in this exercise and submit ideas and suggestions as how the traffic laws can be amended to reflect how we live in now?
Well, to start from your last question, sure, we always accept participation from the public in formulating our laws because they are the ones who have to abide by the laws, and so if they participate in formulating the laws, then it will be much easier to have buy-in and compliance. Yes, I would agree that some of our laws need revising, need updating, but that is done from time to time. We have amendments almost every year. There are amendments to the traffic law, either new additions to the law or some existing laws are amended.
Okay.
So we do have upgrades from time to time. So it's not like the laws were passed in 1955 and has never been changed since. I think the last revision was 2017. And then we've had amendments even since 2017. The traffic lights, for example, those were actually new laws, the laws regulating the traffic lights. Those were new laws that were passed in 2018. And there were some other minor amendments in 2018, such as producing your driver's license immediately. You know, when the laws were originally made, you had 48 hours to produce a license. But those were the days when you had a book. And so persons could not walk around with the book because it would get destroyed easily in your pocket. But now you have a card. You could walk around with your card. It could fit in your wallet where you have your other cards. And so the law has now revised to require persons to have your license.
Always have your license.
Always have your license whenever you're driving. So that is an upgrade in my modernization of the law, to my mind. We have more drivers, and so if you have everybody coming to the station in 48 hours with a license, you're going to have the station full of people bringing their license. And in this age of COVID, you don't want that. So I think that was one of the upgrades to the law in recent times. And there are many others. Maybe as we go along, we might touch on some of them. Some of the other issues that you raise, like stopping in roundabouts and driving slow on the highway and not signaling, those are just question of enforcement. There are laws and the books that speaks to those issues. The speed limit for the highway is 40 miles per hour. And if you're going to drive on the highway at 5 miles per hour for no reason, and you have a whole line of vehicles behind you, then that is driving without reasonable consideration for other road users, because you, without reason, create inconvenience for the rest of the driving public.
Right.
And creating inconvenience for driving public is an offense. It's called driving without reasonable consideration for other road users. And that is a broad offense. It also refers to drivers, public service drivers, bus drivers. You're driving in a way that you scare the passengers. You go around a corner, overtake around a corner, the passengers in there screaming because they're frightened. And, that is also driving without reasonable consideration for other road users, because the passengers are considered road users as well. So if you scare the passenger because of the way you're driving, that also is an offense. So that particular offense covers a number of scenarios.
It's a ticketable offense?
I'll just give you two. It is too serious to be ticketed. The penalty for that is $2,500.
Right.
So it is too serious to get
I was
ticket.
wondering.
So the police would have to take you to court for that, for the magistrate.
Right.
So if I'm driving how would it happen? I'm driving on the Kim Collins, doing 7 miles per hour, obstructing traffic, causing
someone who is affected could report. If someone who is affected report you.
So the police sees it happening live.
If the police see it happen,
do?
they could also report you. The police could also take action, pull you up the line, stop you, allow the traffic to flow, and deal with you.
And there's someone to.
Right. Take your details and serve your necessary notices and have you charged. Depends on the reason that you give. If you say my vehicle has a mechanical problem that when I mash the gas, it cut out, so I have to allow it to
call home.
Right, yeah. Then that would be unreasonable for the police to fine you in those circumstances. But if you just have a girl and you're talking and you just cruising and talking and have the rest of the traffic inconvenience, then that, of course, the police could take action against you.
Wow. And what about the indication or this Kevon?
Yes, the law requires that you indicate your intentions whenever you're turning. You must indicate your intention. So if you turn without indicating and you accident results, then you will accident result from that bad turn. Then you could have some liability.
So is this only, or are you only liable or held accountable if there's a resulting accident?
No, the police could also take action against you, but most times the police don't, because once nothing happens, the police most time would not take an action in those circumstances. But once there's an accident, then you would have to account.
I think that's part of the problem too.
So that is why I say enforcement
is the problem. Because if we start pulling people over for failure to signal, which a lot of the times it doesn't result in an accident, but it causes lots of potentials because people mashing brakes, people have to swerve, people have to do all sorts of things to avoid these accidents. So there's nothing resulting from it. But if we start enforcing by ticketing people for failure to signal, people will start using the thing that came stuck on their car, which doesn't make sense. That's like driving without your lights at night. Why?
Well, they will tell you it was on when I left home and the bulb blew on the way. That's the excuse that we get most of the time. Officer, when I left home, the thing was working. I didn't even realize that it blew until you stopped me. It's possible too.
It is possible, but even if you flip the switch,
it could come on and then
it could come on. Try use it still. Get into the habit of using it, even if it's not working. You don't just leave it off because it's not working.
Right. So it's about persons maintaining their vehicle properly, and it's about the police strictly enforcing these things when they see it. But there's so many occurrences of these minor infractions that it tends to overwhelm the police at times. And so it's difficult if you have to deal with every little infraction that you see. You would be forever.
You wouldn't get to move from one
spot. You wouldn't get to move, exactly. And so you would, right now,
so basically you're picking your battles.
As we speak now, the court is overwhelmed with the number of cases that they have. So if you go to court right now with a case, your case might not turn until January or February. They have the court date set for January. So the system is overwhelmed, and so if we start to enforce every little thing, everything, we just would not be able to.
Exacerbate already bad problem.
Yeah. And so, like you say, we pick the battles. Deal with the most serious ones.
And based on that, I'll let it go. It's a serious piece because when I was living in Canada, I remember one time I came from St Kitts. I was just indicating when I was before I left the country. I went up there and one day I was turning out of a stop and forgot to indicate. I said, whoop, 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 whoop. I said, oh Lord.
Police behind.
What happened? Officer jumped out the car, came, he said, so you know why I pulled you over? I said, no. He said, you just made a left turn, you didn't indicate. And then I was like angry, like, he was like, that can cause a serious accident.
Right.
And then when I came here, we were discussing it with Donnelly and B-Set one morning. And I just found it appalling how people do this. I'm sure you experienced it too.
They just turn. Yeah.
And then it also congests the junctions because people don't know if they can exit the junction because the opportunity that they had where someone was turning into the junction could have been the opportunity for them to go. But because there's no indication, they just have to wait. And then it also sort of builds this distrust of indications because the persons that are indicating, you don't trust it. Because you're so used to people not indicating that when you see the indicator on, you say, let me wait to see what they actually do.
And sometimes they indicate and go straight.
Yeah, they indicate and go straight because the indicator on since they leave the house.
They're being chased.
These things happen. It's not right, but they happen.
Okay. And please, thus far, we're going good.
Keep it that way.
Let's move on. I believe this one here going to be a topic of contention.
Okay, no problem.
And this is the issue of tint on windows on people's vehicles. Before we get into tint?
Yeah, we're going to need some time for tint. So
Yeah, that's about half an hour, but
Okay.
all right. Let's take a
break.
a quick break and then get right back. Thanks.
From the South, 98.9 WINN FM.
Feel the magic happening.
Campari.
Taste.
Something incredible happens when Campari is mixed just right. Like Campari and orange juice poured over ice. Taste it. Try it tonight. Bitter, sweeter, better. Campari. Must be 18 years and older. Drink responsibly.
Okay, welcome back to Island Tea. That was a really, really short break for you, man.
We got things to talk.
Yeah, man, we got things to conversation keeping. So yeah, when we left off, we were touching on the topic of tint. I've spoken to many policymakers and police officers, even the Prime Minister one time pulled him in a corner and asked him about the whole tint thing. And the tint law were always there, as far as I'm concerned. In terms of
it was passed in 1986 originally.
Exactly. Yeah. Right, in terms of the 35%. I don't know if it was always 35 in the traffic laws?
Well, it was vague in that originally it only said your vehicle must be tinted to the extent that the interior could be reasonably visible from the exterior.
Right.
So it leave it up to the judgment of the officer whether he could see or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so because the amount of challenges we used to get, because people would claim that, officer, you can't see good because I could see in the vehicle good.
Mm-hmm.
And the police would say, but I can't see in it good.
Yeah.
And so there was this
they put a measure on it,
subjective test. So it was amended to reflect a figure, a transmittance value, so that persons cannot blame the police for not being able to see good.
Right, and that's where the tint meters answer came in.
And that's where the tint meter come in.
Okay.
And it's 35%.
Right. And you know, the tint laws were always there. I mean, when I was growing up, and so it wasn't heavily enforced. But obviously, we had a huge upsurge in crime. I think it was in the thousands, 2000 and something, or whenever it was.
Right. Yeah. Late 90s.
Right. And you know, everybody I've spoken to about this tint situation is basically saying, well, the reason why it began to be, one of the reasons, why it began to be heavily enforced as of recent is because of the upsurge in crime and the fact that criminals are using heavily tinted vehicles to evade being detected. Right? Can you confirm or deny this?
That was one of the reasons. Persons used to use the tint to hide their criminal activities. Okay,
brilliant. So after, you know, the tint laws were amended to reflect the 35 and the police began enforcing it a lot more strictly, did you see, when I say you, I mean the police force, in terms of statistics, did you see any decrease in the amount of people escaping conviction because of tint?
Decrease in the persons escaping conviction because of tint. I don't think we did any study to specifically determine whether persons were getting away are being convicted because of tint. But clearly we've seen persons being able to be identified
a lot more. So there was an increase in being able to identify.
Witnesses were being able to indicate who they would have seen or how many persons at least they would have seen in a particular vehicle. Albeit that when a person is going to commit a crime, he's going to tint the vehicle just before he commits the crime.
And take it off with after.
And most times not. But that makes his vehicle stands out. If everybody else is light and his vehicle is dark, then he stands out more, and he would attract attention. So that is another reason why if we're enforcing the tint strictly and everybody tint is light, and
then when there's a dark one
and you want come to dark, you would attract attention. And so that is another reason why we try to have everybody at a light standard, so that when someone come up with a dark tint, he stands out and attract attention.
As stop me, I think so. What is?
Yeah, I think that I think the issue is that the tint situation speaks specifically to vehicles with windows, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, it's hard for me to support that when we have vehicles such as box trucks, panel vans that are legal and are able to be licensed.
Yes.
For instance, if I am a criminal and looking to do some type of illegal activity, yes, a consideration for the laws, I would have to take that into consideration, right? Mm-hmm. And so, if it's something where I have to move around something, for instance, we see this in the US, where persons who want to say commit some kind of terrorist act and thing like that, they use certain types of vehicles, vans,
panel vans, and
panel trucks, that kind of thing.
Because those are convenient for the crime that they want to commit. They hold more explosive. And
right.
So
but so I'm saying is that, for instance,
situation is different.
Well, I guess it depends on the type of crime that you're trying to stop.
Exactly.
So the issue for me though is, for instance, I'm in a situation where my vehicle would have been broken into several times, 5 times to be exact over the last couple of years, even up to a few weeks ago. I'm a businessman. I carry my own equipment in my vehicle and stuff like that, and it's like the thing is, it's well documented that car break-ins are a crime of convenience.
Right.
And so
opportunity.
Yes. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So you look in and you see some and some people they ain't even care. They see a nice hat on your seat. They walk out by.
Could I suggest that you get a panel van or a box truck like you just mentioned?
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. You could suggest that. Mm-hmm. You could suggest that. So now the issue becomes all the way down the line now, because the issue then is, well, what do I do now in terms of increased cost? What do I do in terms of having to deal with the government and thing? No, I mean that's an option, right? But then at the same time, you can't tell me that is the ideal solution for my situation.
No, but it's a reasonable one, because these are commercial vehicles.
But if I have a hat on my seat, that's not necessarily anything to do with business, like you said.
No, so don't leave the hat on the seat. We advise people not to leave valuables in your vehicle that is clearly visible in your vehicles. We've seen people actually leave laptops in laptop bags on the back seat or in the driver's seat, in the front seat. They leave their cell phone or tablet exposed on the seat. Of course, that's going to invite somebody to break into your vehicle. So we would not want to encourage people to put on dark tint to hide the laptop in the back seat of the car. That's not necessarily how we
deal with all types of activity. For instance, if I leave my door ajar and I go in my backyard and somebody walk in, you're not gonna come back and tell me, well, maybe everybody's going to understand that this person should not be in your house. Right? So then I don't like when the police then come and tell me, don't leave nothing in your car. Like
but that is good advice.
No, it's good advice, but I don't think that should be policy.
If you leave something in your car, somebody can take it up.
But I don't think that
you just admit that these are crimes of opportunity.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so you create an opportunity for someone to get a computer.
It's not unreasonable behavior though. It's not unreasonable behavior for me to be walking in town all day with my laptop. You understand? So I don't think that
it's not unreasonable to walk with your laptop. No.
I don't think that it's not bad advice, but to use that to inform policy.
Bearing in mind, that remember I said initially that the dark tint encourages persons with criminal intent to hide behind the tint, and so you have to weigh whether you want to make it convenient for someone to leave the laptop in their vehicle, or whether you want to make it difficult for someone to commit a crime using a vehicle. And I think,
but I don't think that's what's happening.
Preventing someone from committing a crime in a dark vehicle is better than preventing someone from leaving the laptop in the car, because the tint is not dark.
I think the problem is that we just recognize that doesn't necessarily decrease the person being able to use a vehicle.
But it increases the chance of him being identified. Another reason, it's not only crime. There are persons who drive without license, and if they know that no one could see who's driving, they're going to take the chance. If you are clearly visible to everybody, they're less likely to drive, because they know somebody going to call the police and say, boy, I see Amal gone on the road and he ain't got a license. Mm-hmm. As opposed to the car dark, nobody know who's driving the car. The car belongs to somebody else who has a license. And so the car person, they will not call the police. But if they see Amal driving and Amali doesn't have
Amali? Oh, okay. I was wondering what Amal do you?
If they know Amali doesn't have a license, Somebody gonna call the thing, but I just see Amali gone on the road with the father car and he ain't got a license. So it helps in that regard because persons driving without license are dangerous people on the road.
Yeah.
So it helps if you can identify who the driver is, so persons would know whether or not he has a license and inform the police accordingly. Also safety, road safety. That tint reduces your view of the road. It limits how much of the road you can see, especially in bad weather and low lighting conditions. Significantly reduced. Your visibility of the road is significantly reduced. And once that it reduces, it increases the risk of accidents. So that is another reason why we have to keep the tint at a level that it doesn't affect your or impair your driving ability.
Yeah, I think for me...
the police cars and beat up?
But that was going to be my next point because the police cars then are a traffic issue. The police vehicles are a traffic issue then.
A lot of times it's people with that.
And they drive the fastest?
A lot of times people run into them, you know.
For real?
It's not all the time the police hit somebody. Sometimes people hit the cars, hit the police vehicles. So
police hit people. I've actually experienced an accident where a police van literally cleaned up a whole jeep, turned over, the police van itself turned over, and it was exiting the junction at the roundabout while somebody was going around the roundabout. So I feel like the police tint is what caused that because they couldn't see that the jeep was in front of them.
Well, not all police vehicles are tinted, and so you have to tell me that particular vehicle you're talking about was tinted.
I mean, the one, it was tinted,
it was
but
tinted?
we're talking about
tint. Okay, and so that's another, so we don't want that to spread throughout the whole driving public. So if you limit it to just police, then that is manageable, but we don't want to spread that through the we have 20,000 vehicles on the road.
Yeah, there's a lot.
My issue
200
is
police vehicles. We could live with 200 vehicles.
So there's also
we
the
don't
issue.
want 20,000 vehicles exposed to that kind of.
There's also the issue we talked with Donnelly about with the fact where police officers, their private vehicles are super dark in terms of tint.
Yeah.
Are they held to the same standards of tint?
Well, that will tell you we deal with them the same way. Once we do our traffic checks and we go bump into them, they have to take it off the same way like everybody else.
Yeah, she was saying like she telling them in court right now.
Yeah.
Right. So we deal with them.
What I would like to suggest though, the reason why I feel like these conversations just seem to go round and round in circles is because a lot of times the conversation isn't informed by some sort of actual research or anything like that. And this is something that pervades not just the traffic laws and things like that. It happens in the health field, happens in agriculture, where there seems to be this culture where we don't actually like to research and make informed decisions. The laws, the policies, informing all these things. If I'm doing something in health right now, it's so difficult, or even education, to find information based on what the actual case is, and so people just go, well, I kind of feel is this, we kind of see it like this.
Well, sometimes we rely on research that is done outside, internationally.
Right.
And so we rely on these research and to inform our decision, because sometimes the same situation applies.
Yeah,
definitely. Now, road safety, for example, if something is a risk in the US, it's going to be a risk in St Kitts. So why do we need to do research in St Kitts? In some states in the US, you can't put on no tint at all at the front of your vehicle.
Right, right.
In Canada as well, yeah.
Right.
In the front,
So there are reasons for that.
You can black out the back glass.
You can black out the drivers, but you can't have nothing at all. Not at all.
Nothing on the windscreen.
Exactly.
Yeah, but generally the issue I have is that we use it selectively. So for instance, we'll use and say, well, this is what happens in the thing, but then we use a different logic and reasoning for implementing the same thing. So that's where the issue of,
if our situation is different, a bit different, because situation will not be the same.
But you see, and that's the thing, you can't tell it's the same, so use the same, but then say it's different. You see, so that's what I'm saying. It has to be some sort of consistency with the arguments being put forward, especially when we're trying to have a dialogue and talk about these things.
But the result of the research outside would still fit our situation here locally, even though the situation might be a bit different, it still fits.
The solution,
and so the solution
that they came up with research, the same solution that
it would fit our situation, even though our situation might have some differences. The overall solution would still be relevant to our overall situation, and so we just apply it.
I have a question though,
because safety is safety regardless of where you are.
I have a question though, as it relates to the police vehicles being heavily tinted. The few of them that are.
You mean the government owned or the private vehicles?
The government ones.
Yeah, okay.
Right? I would think, because you did mention the heavy tint, reduces the visibility in low light and bad weather.
Right, yeah.
I would think that the police would be one of the people that would need to be able to have the best visibility at night and during bad weather, but from inside the vehicles.
Right, but we also need to have the privacy and least visibility of the interior of the vehicle from the exterior, because we do a lot of things that we don't want the public to see.
Mm-hmm. Then use a panel van.
Precisely.
But panel van is not designed for that. Panel van, they are commercial vehicle. They don't have seats. They don't have air conditioning in the back. They're hot. So you can't use a panel van to move people.
So is there an option
van designed for goods?
Is there an option to have a select number of police vehicles that have the darker tint to do whatever things that you guys need to do, and then the regular?
Yeah, that's what we do. All our vehicles are not tinted.
Okay.
Depends on what the vehicle
is used for.
Departments have
different. Depends on what department you have. You would have that based on what you're doing.
Okay. Well,
it's for national security purposes. And the law makes exemption for that, specific exemptions for these vehicles to be exempted on the grounds of national security.
Okay then.
We have a caller on the line. Caller, good morning. We lost them.
And actually, callers, let us hold the calls, please, for a second until we finish our conversation, and then we open up the lines. I'm disturbing this here. Let us now jump into. You are satisfied with the issue of tint and so?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Jade. Mr. Hanley? Okay, brilliant. Now let's jump into the meat of it. What many of our listeners have actually logged on to hear, and that is as it relates to entertainment and COVID-19 and entertainment in general, right? I mean, on this show we've been on here for quite a few months, and narrative has been, through all the entertainers that we interview, the promoters, the DJs, the singers, and even ourselves who are involved, is that there's a lack of regard and there's a huge disparity as it relates to how that industry is treated as opposed to other industries, right? Are you not going good?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are a few things.
Other industries such as
the restaurant industry, the hotel industry, the banking industry.
Okay.
I can go on.
Okay.
Right. So.
But you would admit that these other industries, they function different to the entertainment.
Yes.
Function different, so you can't treat them the same
100%.
way. So you can't treat them the same way. You agree to that?
In certain aspects, yes, I agree, but in certain aspects, not.
Right. I would agree to that.
And that's what we're going to dive into.
I agree to the not. The not part.
Right. I'll list a few of the things that have come up in conversation, amongst ourselves and on the show over the last few months. So these aren't necessarily my personal gripes, but just in general what people, the first one I have here is permission for events being left up to the discretion of the High Command or the Commissioner, as it would be.
I think Commissioner is the term.
The Commissioner, yeah.
Right. The shutting down of events left up to the discretion of officers on site. The shutting down of events based on fights and disturbances at the event. Permits being issued a day before, the day of events. Mandatory paid police presence at events of a particular magnitude. And the shutting down or the halt of the entire industry based on the indiscretions of one promoter or one entity. Right? So those are a few of the things that people have had concerns about. Right?
So let's take them one by one.
Which
one you going to start with?
And super, I don't want to hear nothing about it's the law, so we're following the law.
No, we'll explain.
Reasonable conversation.
I would explain why the law is the way it is.
Okay, no problem. Let us first touch on the SRO regulations as it relates to entertainment. And it says, no person is allowed to attend, host, visit any gathering, and they list the gatherings, and it goes on to say in the most recent ones, without the express authorization of the Commissioner of Police, right? We had a conversation over at the Royal St Kitts with a bunch of promoters when the industry was softly opened up, and we were asked to hold off from promoting events unless you have the written permission from the Commissioner of Police. But we found that in many, many cases, promoters would apply to host an event a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes 4 and 5 weeks in advance of the event, and not get a response until the day before the event, right? Yet we are being asked. We don't want to say we are
not to advertise unless I get permission.
Right. Which means if my event is on the 5th of January
and I get
permission on the 4th of January, I have 8 hours to promote the event.
That a day. I will recognize that, and that cannot be fair to the individual, because you have to advertise. Unless you're so popular that once people hear, it doesn't matter how much time, what notice they get, they're going to pass on. That's not the case all the time. We are trying to fix that. As you're aware, we are working on an online permission application where persons could go to our website, submit the application form, and the response should be much quicker than having someone have to go to the email and look for your email. The site system would automatically generate the permissions. All the person who is authorizing have to do is click approve or deny, and the system generate a whole
response form.
Response, right. And they have a list of options. They select the conditions. So they just a matter of selecting the condition. They have a list of conditions. So they just have to select what conditions they want to apply to that event. Click approve, and you get a whole email with
email response.
Well formatted and nicely done up and everything. So they don't have to sit and the secretary doesn't have to sit and type or copy and paste, because that takes time. And
and I think one of the things is the number of and requests as well. A lot of requests. Yeah.
So when the secretary see that pile of requests there and this, and she has to type an email
for everyone.
It and plus all the other things that she has to do.
It's the whole department.
It really takes a lot of time, and so we are working to eliminate that. And so all they have to do is click approve or deny, select the conditions, or type in the reason, and you get an email that is already formatted automatically. So that should be coming online very, very shortly. The site is done, it's complete. We are testing now. We're just trying to type a few loose ends.
If a promoter applies to host an event on the 5th of January and he or she receives a letter saying that your request was denied with the reasons, can that promoter then address the reason and then reapply?
Sure. Sure, you could reapply once you
meet the criteria.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Which one you wanted to jump into after that? The shutting down of
shutting down of event. Events are not shut down arbitrarily. Events are shut down for a reason. So you are given a list of conditions, and if the person who is visiting the event, the officer who is visiting the event, find that you will have breached any or all of the conditions, then that will be grounds, because one of the conditions is that permission can be withdrawn in the interest of public safety, or forget the wording, but basically if you violate the conditions, that could be grounds for permission. That is stated in your permission, that permission could be withdrawn at any time.
Yes, I see it.
So that if an officer comes to inspect your event and find that you're not complying with all of the conditions or some of the conditions, then that will be grounds to pull the permission. So you're told that up front.
Where would that apply to somebody fighting in the event, though? Because I've been at events where there's a fight. The argument that is used, and Azem brought it up, I think it was last week. If I go to Rams Supermarket to shop and there's a stinking brawl in Rams, right, which puts the public safety at risk, because other people are shopping, babies and children and mothers and grandmothers are in there shopping as well, and they're backing cans of tomatoes after each other, right? The perpetrators are removed by the police, arrested and charged based on what happened. But Rams isn't shut down. Rams continues operations.
But the activity is different. So a lot of the times in these events, what causes the fight is the atmosphere.
For real?
Yeah, a lot of times the atmosphere causes the fight. You might have persons from opposing groups, and you have certain type of music playing that create a type of atmosphere. You know, some bands, some type of music create certain type of atmosphere. And if you have that continuing, then the chances of other fights starting, then it's very high. If the fight start because these opposing groups is there, you pull out the two who are fighting, you have other members of the group still there. So there are chances that other fights going to start from the other persons, or persons who would have wanted to take revenge for the person who started the first fight. So sometimes there's a chain reaction. When there's one fight, there's a chain reaction because the parties to the fight has other persons who are with them there, and they will have bones to pick still, and they will use the opportunity because the atmosphere is still there that generated the fight in the first place. It is still there, and so the fights are likely to continue. And it happens a lot. One fight starts, and then you have another fight, then you have another fight, then another fight. Should we wait until there are 5 fights to start the ban?
I would say 3.
But the third one might be fatal.
Not one.
Or you might have a serious injuries. So we don't want to wait until to see how serious the other's going to be to stop the fight, stop the ban. And sometimes too, it depends on the parties involved. It's not every fight that starts police stop ban. Because sometimes you have 2 girls fighting because the boyfriend dancing with somebody else. We will stop the ban because of that. We look at the parties.
But if you're aware that it is gang related or
so you assess the parties
we look at
involved.
We look at the persons who are fighting and the reasons for the fight and make a determination based on what is happening around there. So it's not every fight that we stop the ban for. It all depends on who's fighting and why they're fighting. Sometimes we have more information than persons around might know.
Amali, this is gonna be going off on a bit of a tangent, but the reason for this is simply because I have to leave, and the powers that be have given us a little extra time. So, yeah, thanks for that. But, what I've been hearing, I feel comes out of the fact that there's a lack of understanding between the police force a lot of times and the persons that they're interacting with. Right. And I feel that environment breeds some contempt on both sides.
Right.
And so, but I do think that there's a responsibility on the behalf of the police force to engage and communicate as much as possible with the police force, with the general public. For instance, when we're speaking about the entertainment situation, if we stop and we really have conversations with the police about why some of these things are being put in place and things, most people would agree.
Right.
But a lot of it has to do with the fact that promoters are not sure.
Lack of knowledge,
right. Are not sure what are the stipulations, what we have to adhere to, different things like that. If a party is shut down, a lot of times the conversation does not happen, and I don't think it's always possible for the conversation to happen at the time, but I do think it does have to happen, right? Because if I am a tax-paying business owner, operator, and the police, based on their discretion, puts me in a situation where I'm not now able to earn, then even if it's not possible at the time to have that conversation, I think it should be recognized that, hey, we should talk to the business owner. So I think that is something that I think the police force really needs to step up on. Just communication across the board. All right, I think that would put us in a much better situation. One, but not only talk at the general public, but also listen to the general public. I think, for instance, the situation with the promoters and thing, I think a lot of the decisions could be tweaked a bit if the promoters, the business owners, persons in entertainment have a seat at the table when some of these policies are being put in place. For instance, the issue of the time taken and now we're seeing work done. I would have spoken to ACP Adams about some of this and heard some of the things that the police force have been doing to try and address the issue. But I think if we were at the table from the start, then we would have been able to say, well, this really doesn't seem feasible, and would have avoided some of the contention between the two sides. But I do think it speaks to a deeper issue, and this is something that I would like to get your view on. The fact that the general public feels as though the police operates from a position of power, and a lot of times when we interact with police, there's this feeling of, let's just do as I say, I'm in power here, I'm the one who controls the situation, and that breeds some resentment. And I think it's a cultural thing. Just the name alone, the police force, I think, suggests that it's not the police service, it's not even just the police, it's the police force, the defense force. And so when we interact with persons from these these organizations, that power dynamic, that whole dynamic, I think, it really informs how we interact. So how do you feel about like that dynamic that I described, and also do you think that's something that should be addressed and should be looked, and if so, in what ways?
Yes, I would agree with you that dialogue solves a lot of the issues, but one of the reasons why the police would take sometimes take the heavy-handed approach, if you approach a situation, as we say, soft, people see you as soft and challenge your authority. They do not cooperate immediately. They think that they could negotiate their way out of the situation. Rather than understand what you're trying to say, they try to convince you otherwise. So if you say, don't do this, they try to convince you why they should be allowed to do it. And not understanding that it is wrong and they shouldn't do it, and the police is there to prevent you from doing it. And so if the police take a soft approach, persons challenge you and try to negotiate their way out of it to continue doing it. And so the police, rather than sitting there and negotiating with you, just come heavy-handed and say, stop it now, otherwise.
Yeah.
And it works. Rather than stay there and you have a build-up and a build-up and a build-up, and then you have a big crowd gather up and everybody start to abuse the police. You deal with it decisively, quickly, and finish away with it. Because if you stay there and try to talk and negotiate and educate, you're not going to get cooperation immediately. Because the person who is doing the thing doesn't want to stop doing it. And so he's going to ask you why. Why can't I do this? What happened to he over there who doing it? And should the police stop there and entertain all of that? In the meantime, a crowd, we got, well, officer left the band. We might doing nothing wrong. And then you have a big crowd and you end up with a big scene. So sometimes the police think it's best to just deal with it decisively.
Tear off the band-aid.
Right. It might be painful, but the pain will not last as long.
I think I'm speaking more to an overall image and branding of the police as it relates to how they're seen.
But as a result of that, people see us a particular way. As a result of that approach, people see us a particular way. Oh, the police just heavy-handed, and the police, because they got authority, because they got power, they come and want to bulldoze us. But if we go otherwise, people do not cooperate. I've seen it. People challenge the police whenever you come across a particular way.
Right. So instead of approaching a situation and allowing, my response to that would be, the police should be trained to recognize certain traits in persons today, because I see the job of police to be something very difficult, just in its nature, right? When you are trying to enforce things on people, like you said, it breeds sometimes this pushback, right? And so I think there is room, because the problem is that in a lot of these cases, for instance, with the entertainment situation, what happens? Persons try to find ways around, right? So, for instance, persons might start opening backyard, like speakeasies, for want of a better term, to try and circumvent the laws. If persons are seen now, for instance, we see the police as being an organization that is that we are not able to negotiate with and talk to in a way that breeds some type of, common ground or whatever. Yeah.
Sometimes it's the approach too.
Yeah, the approach.
It's the approach from the other side. If you come into the police making demands.
Come in tense. Yeah,
you're not gonna get.
Yeah,
you have to come in.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see
and negotiate.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see, because I don't like this view of the police by the general public. The police is this and the police is that. But the truth is, and maybe not from you, but because of that mentality, but not only that, I think some police embrace that. I think some police embrace this. But yeah, we gotta move tense one time and check, and I feel like that in itself breeds more and more contempt, because it's gonna continue an escalation. I don't see anything in the future where there's a de-escalation, where there is a situation where the general public and police could work together, because a lot of times, in order for the police to do their job, they depend on cooperation from the general public. And so if you continually breed this culture whereby like is we end them with the enemy, it just breeds resentment, and then nobody really get what they want because they still calling you when they got a problem.
Nobody has to call. And we still would respond. But as I take your point, but that doesn't apply in every situation with everybody. I mean, Amali, I'm certain. Amali doesn't have the same experience. Amali get along well, and
Amali's a law-abiding citizen.
Yeah, almost get everything he wants. Get everything he wants. And
so you can say on the radio, Cromwell. People don't feel so many.
I said almost.
No.
But it's the approach. It's the way you approach things. You cannot go out and bash the police and criticize the police and make demands, and then expect the police to give you what you want. You have to first show that you understand our position and explain your position and willing to compromise, and see how we could get a win-win situation where you get what you want and we get what we want.
Yeah,
there should be some middle ground.
Okay, we'll just pause for a little 2-second break and be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
Every day, your immune system is compromised. You use up vitamin C quickly and even faster with stress and cold. Burst back into life with Halib Orange. Burst back into health with 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, as much as in 12 oranges. Each effervescent tablet is bursting with fresh fruit flavor, sparkling orange, lemon and sugar-free blackcurrant, also suitable for diabetics. Health never tasted so good. Halib Orange, bursting with flavor, bursting with health.
Use your National Bank Visa debit card 5 times or more weekly for a chance to win a $500 shopping spree. Compliments of National Bank. So think twice the next time you want to use cash. Choose your National Bank Visa debit card instead, because you might be the next lucky winner. Use your National Bank Visa debit card every transaction for a chance to be the next lucky winner. Cashless SKN is our new lifestyle choice. National Bank, always here.
Get ready for Christmas at Hospice Building in Nevis Center. Massive Get Ready for Christmas 3-day weekend clearance sale. This Thursday, November 5th to Saturday, November 7th with 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. Get ready for Christmas with great deals, great savings, great discounts at Hospice. This 3-day weekend clearance sale, Thursday, November 5th to Saturday, November 7th. 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. Hospice, get ready for Christmas 3-day weekend clearance sale. 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. Don't miss it. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
And we're back with more Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Amali, and our guest, who's been taking.
He's
doing well. But you've also been receiving lots of praise on social media. Everyone's saying,
people like the police?
You're doing good. You're making sense. And this want some Jade to do. My friend says, make sure I tell him he's getting his praises. So,
thank you.
You're not. You're still public enemy, but your rank drop a little bit.
From the tree, number 3.
Maybe like 4, 3, between 3 and 4.
Okay.
Yeah. When we before we paused for the break, we were touching on the fact that Amali gets everything he wants, which is untrue. Just for those listening, because
most things. Not everything.
Amali, boy, he put you in a position where
in a really bad position, boy. Like,
well,
it's gonna be all over Facebook now.
They might just want to know what you do to get it to happen. So just tell them what you do.
What I'm going into.
And if we get everybody to do the same thing, we'll have a much peaceful coexistence.
And that's what I'm going into, and that goes into, the demeanor of people. Like actually, at the event on Saturday, I was talking to iMark. And we're talking about, a bunch of events getting cancelled, etc., etc. And he was asking me, like, how come, this event get to go through? And I said, Emma, because it's not about me. It's about you. Mm-hmm. It's about the DJ. It's about the songman. It's about letterman. It's about the venue. We're trying to pump money into the industry. And if the police and Hanley need to do X, Y, and Z, they're going to do it. may I argue?
Right.
Right? I try my best to work around the parameters that they gave me and make it happen. Right? Sometimes, the police will come back to us and say, well, you got to do X, Y, and Z. Right? And we know if we do it, we're going to take a severe hit in terms of, financially. Because I might apply for, 500 people and the police say, but you only have 250. And I know that financially it makes sense based on what I'm planning to propose. So then you go back to the drawing board and say, okay, well, since we only have 250, let us edit the event so that the event pays for itself. Right? And another thing is, I think you mentioned it before, the police or the compliance task force would come to the venue and say, it's Kevon event. I say, Kevon, listen, we have an issue with XYZ happening right now and it needs to be addressed. Instead of Kevon saying, but I went to a party last week and you let Amali do it. Right. Exactly. And I was there and tell him nothing. Yeah. And then I went to the thing last week and Jade do it and you did it. But what you gonna do it? Wrong approach. And it's the wrong approach. And I'm not saying that the police were right for allowing Kevon to do it, or the police were right for allowing Jade to do it at the previous event. But what I'm saying is, in the interest of your event, exactly. In the current situation, your fans and patients who have paid money, as well as the artists and DJs who are relying on you to feed their families.
Cooperate and try to fix the problem.
Fix the problem and cooperate. And if you want to abuse about it after and raise the concern, then you can do that. Right? If you can say by Cromwell, last week Officer Hanley was at Jade event and I see him let Jade do this, then Cromwell can deal with Officer Hanley. Right? I think it's just the way we go about doing things. And Cromwell will say that I always get what he wants and so, but it's not the case. Many things I asked for I didn't get.
That's why I say most things.
Many things I asked for I didn't get, but
yes. I can't get everything. And that is why I say there must be some middle ground. Right. Where you get some of what you want and within the parameters that we set. Right, and
it's about conversation as well. Because when Adams first called me and told me that the event can happen, like, I wasn't upset or anything. I said, well, ACP, based on what grounds, what's the issue? He told me the issue. I said, but we can fix that easily.
Right, and you fix it.
He said, well, if you could fix it, then you're good to go.
Right.
And that was the conversation.
As opposed to going on Facebook abusing the police.
Right.
You know for sure that it's not going to happen again if you want to take that approach.
So do you think the way that the police has been disseminating information in regards to the events and the protocols and the perimeters, do you think it reaches the audience that it needs to in the correct way? Like, do you think that there's anything that can be done to make sure that promoters understand these are the things that you need to do, these are the things that you need to put in place for your event to happen, so we don't have a situation where it looks like the police just cancelling everything, instead of talking to us as promoters and saying, well, we don't want to cancel y'all events, we want y'all to do this instead of for these events to happen.
Well, I think by now everybody should know that we are in a pandemic, a health pandemic, that where these type of activities promotes the spread of the particular virus that we are dealing with. And so everyone should understand what they need to do, what they should not do. But I get the impression that regardless of what we say, people still want to do what they want to do. I think that is where the problem is.
Well, not for those people who just willfully ignoring the things that you've been saying, but for people who really want to understand and have a better understanding, like Amali said that Adams told him this is what he has to do to change, instead of just saying no, your event can't happen, and then him having to go and ask, well, why? Do you think that the police instead could say, well, this is what you need to change, just right off the bat, this is what you need to change in order for your event to be.
As opposed to saying you can't have it?
Yes.
Maybe that could be an approach. Calling the person, have a sit down and explain what he needs to do.
Definitely.
Before cancelling it. But like I say, because of the volume, we just don't have the time to call in everybody. And we are really overwhelmed with the volume of it, because all social activities now require permission from the commissioner.
I have a recommendation for that, but I'm going to tell you after you.
Well, I have a recommendation for that as well. So you see how you said that they're putting a website in place. You see how sometimes you go on a website and you have to, let's say you're signing up and you put in your password wrong and they would say at the bottom, your password is incorrect or it doesn't match. Do you think there is something that can be done like that to say like, okay, well, this is the reasons why your event is not up to standard, because these are the things that has been followed just automatically. So
you mean after you would applied and
yeah, so like
so like automatic response.
Yeah, so instead of the person having to go and sit down and call in somebody, it automatically tells you, well,
so some sort of algorithm in place.
Like say for example, in the field where it says number of patrons and I put 500, then it will say denied, and anywhere on the bottom it says
only 250.
Only 250.
Yes, that type
and I would
of stuff
save
would
time
help.
as well, rather than having to submit. Then somebody have to review, only to go back and say your event good, but the 200.
Yeah, you have to then ask, come sit down and take time from the police to figure out, well, why it was cancelled, or why it doesn't meet the criteria.
Okay, well, the site that we are doing, it would not tell you at the application point that you have done something that you are not supposed to do. But in your response, in the decline response, if it's declined, you would get the reasons why it is declined. And you would have an opportunity to fix
correct
and reapply. And
yeah.
as I say, because everything is done online, you have the convenience of doing it anytime from any place.
Yeah, I feel like that would help a lot.
Yeah, a lot of people on the live is saying that sounds like an excellent idea in terms of, like, the criteria box lighting up red if the information doesn't match the criteria. Like, if you fill out a form and you don't check a box, if you try to submit, it'll tell you, hey, you have to fill out this field.
We do have that. If you don't complete all the fields, it will not allow you to submit.
But then is there also like Amali said, using the patron number as a good amount? There's a
cap.
A cap. If you enter 500 and your venue, if you do a drop down venue, if the venue is available there, if you let's say you select Royal St Kitts, the system would automatically know the capacity. So then if you select Royal St Kitts and you enter your number and you enter 500, it would automatically tell you that's not.
Maybe that's something we could have built in, but it wasn't designed.
Yes.
It wasn't designed.
Yeah, because y'all ain't asked us. Y'all ain't asked LNT.
I sent it to Amali for his input. He didn't tell me that one. So.
Amali, tell
Amali,
us.
wow.
So
very early in the development. I sent it to Amali.
I'm upset with you.
He didn't tell you us.
Because we're a soundboard, we're a good soundboard, but he didn't tell us, and this is what happened.
Amali tell me this is good.
Wow, Amali, I can't believe
it. And do I hear a defamation case coming up?
Boy, yeah, so.
Well, he made one or two recommendations. He made
okay.
one, and we took those recommendations on board.
Yeah,
so
because on this side is when you usually to like page 3, you tell you you need these documents, your driver license and your social security card. I'll just give you an example.
Yeah.
I just say, but I started procedure and making on these things with me.
So there's no summary page. There could be a summary page to tell you what you need.
Right. So he make that
on the very first page. You'll need this document, this document, this document, this document.
So you'll see that if you go to the site now. I don't think it's on it yet, but
I have another suggestion. I made it last week. I'm not sure if you were listening, but I know you usually do. But we were saying that a lot of these venues, right? You see how you say you have the website now? Maybe on the page, one of the pages of the website could be a list
of venues and their capacity.
Yes, and that you have approved, so that we don't have to wait to go through and figure out if we could keep things here and keep things there. Like if you just have a list of approved venues with the capacity limits, that
so
would help.
If I want to go Spice Mill, I know I can only got 200 people.
And that's something we're discussing.
Check the summit for 400 and 500.
That's something we're discussing on the show. Like, is there a way to create a database for promoters? So, okay, I want to throw a FET. Let me go in the index. I can see the available approved venues. And then, they already approved. I can see the limits. So I can know which location suits my event. And then, we go from there. But then, of course, if there's a different event that's not on the list, you have to seek additional permission and stuff like that. But
that's something that we could take aboard, because we do have a list of venues and their capacities. We have the public health inspectors do that for us. So we have a list of venues and their capacity. So maybe that's something we could incorporate.
Yeah, just add it to the website. That would help with the timing.
Save a lot of time.
Yeah.
But there's also a thinking that maybe we should just have a maximum ceiling for all events. So that rather than some getting 500 and some getting 200, we just say the maximum for events is 200, and only certain size venues would be approved. That is one school of thought that we are tying with. Have a ceiling for all events.
I'll think about it and get back to you.
And then have certain venues for those certain type of events.
Okay, man.
Rather than packing 200 people in a small venue, and you have the same 200 in a big venue.
Right.
We restrict the size of the venues,
And that could also help with promoters having more things, because if I know this event is in this facility or place, then I could have something else, somewhere else, because I won't be looking at the same
numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
These are things that we have.
If we do that.
Like my friend is saying.
But we have to really control these events
numbers,
because
yeah.
COVID is spread by numbers.
And the numbers are about to increase because borders are open.
And borders are open, so we're going to get the second wave. Look at the countries all around us. St. Lucia is in crisis. You know? They have community spread. And remember, very early on when St. Lucia opened, they were the model.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you guys have any more hard questions for?
A lot more, but
Amali exhausted his.
But I think you see, we are pressed for
time. I think
time.
you asked about police. We have to get paid police.
Oh yeah, they paid police presence at Fed Sense. Me and Adams got his, and you too. Got his argue about this all the time.
So you're saying that you should not pay the police, or you should not have police?
No, we're smart, I'm not saying any of those things.
We're saying that they should do if we're paying people to come and police, then it's unfair for us to do that and then have things happen and then we get shut down because what we paying y'all for.
Okay.
That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying.
Tell me what you want to say.
So you could just Jade first and come back to me if you want.
Well, yeah, I take the point. If you have police there at an event and other police are going to come and shut it down, then that really shouldn't happen. The police who is working there, they should be the one who should be guiding and saying what should happen and what should not happen.
Yeah, they're supposed to be seeing things and controlling things before it escalates. And if it escalates, then yes, they come and by army shut it down. But if a police who just wake up out of bed, put on his uniform,
and he come over there shut down your thing.
Like, sir,
but police there all night.
Exactly.
So come and do it.
I could understand.
As a matter of fact, come and look at me your own clothes. Come and
look don't even wear his uniform, he just come in and shut it down.
And a Kangol hat and say, lock it off. Me like the same.
No man, Lord man.
No. But my concern is, I've been to events across the region and in North America, right? And security for events are left up to private security firms, and the police aren't even allowed to enter the venue unless they are called,
right?
To address a situation.
That's how it is in most places, and we're trying to get to that. We were trying to build the private security sector so that they could handle most of these private events, so that the police could be left to do their public duty.
Policing.
Right. If there is a public disturbance, then the police would step in. But once things are going normal and peaceful,
but when you have
private security should be able to take care.
Because when you have a big event, let's use School of It for example, or Inception, and you have 30-40 officers on site policing a crowd of 7,000 people.
Yeah.
You say the country doesn't want rampant.
Exactly. So you just need a quick response team.
Yeah, a quick response team, or even posted outside the event.
And private security take care of the general security.
That's what I would like to see.
That's what we like to see.
Because your Adams was sitting in the office and tell me, Amali having X amount of people. Adams always pull the police on me. So many officers you want, and I'm like, Adam, just get straight to the point. Because you're not making a choice. And I always tell him, give me 2. He has a Lord, but he said, well, at least 8.
No, we got to pay 8 people for next month to come in and shut it down.
Yeah, I said, who paying for them? He was like, who hasn't paid for them? I was like, no, man. And then I still got to hire private security on top of that.
To complement the 8, yes.
To complement the 8? That's what you call it?
Complement, eh? Complement.
Yeah, because, each would have their function. The police will be there for general security. And the private security will be there to enforce your rules. You must be searched. You can't go this place, you can't go that place.
So why we need 8?
You got 7,000 people.
No. For full effect, them is more like 30 officers.
Yeah.
You think 8 police is enough?
No.
Right.
No. 30 ain't enough either.
Exactly.
Because they're always overwhelmed there.
Well, they would always be, because the ratio of police to persons would always be higher. But I think the international standard is 1 police to 100 people. That's the formula that is used.
Can I ask one last very quick question?
Very quick.
And this is a golden question too, which a lot of mothers ask. I know my good friend over in Nevis, Woodis, DJ Woodis, this is a big P for him. Why is it that promoters who have licenses to host events have to then seek permission from the Commissioner of Police to have events?
Well, you have to seek permission so that the police could be aware that the event is happening and advise whether it is possible based on the security environment, and so that we could be prepared to deal with the event, to provide security for the event, or prepare ourselves should something go wrong at the event. We have sufficient manpower resources available to respond to it. We don't want to have a situation where suddenly one night we just hear there's a big event in the park with 5,000 people. And that particular day we give all the police rest day. And something happened in the park and we don't have anybody to respond. So if we know that there's something happening in the park, we could have our resources available, make our resources available to respond to or deal with something, should something go wrong.
That's fair.
Or if there is any particular threat that we are aware of, we could advise, hey,
it's not safe to have this event
not safe to have
this
event
time because of XYZ.
Because of X. We might not tell you XYZ, but we might just tell you.
For national security reasons.
Right. So it is necessary so that we know what is happening, so we could plan accordingly.
Well, super. Lastly, I just want to beg and plead for you and the High Command and the rest of the police service, because I believe we need to rebrand from force to service.
Yeah, that has always been a debate. Yeah.
Ain't it been a debate? Changing the name of the police service ain't gonna affect the operations of the police.
That is true.
So why is it a debate? We're trying to make the police service more friendly and more customer oriented, and for the public to feel like you're here to protect and serve us as opposed to talk to us instead of talk with us.
I agree.
So let's move in that direction, please.
Yes, but we're going to touch that some other time, because I feel like this is a deep conversation that we need to have with him about this.
Yes.
About the service.
Yes. The force word.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we recognize it's not good for
Yeah, because I don't want to ask the police force for help. You know, that don't sound like help to me.
And this government does love to put force on everything. The task force, the compliance task force.
I will not saying that that's what they do, but you know, the name in itself does a lot mentally. You know, because you don't really seek a force for help.
You seek a service.
Yeah, but people know what you're asking the help.
Right, but then there's different tiers.
If somebody's in your house and we come and tell the person, please to come out, Mr. Amali.
Right. You need some force.
But within the service, there can be a department that has force on the end.
Yes.
Okay. So within the service, you have a task force.
Within the service, you have forces in the service.
Not everybody is just a force.
Right. Point taken.
And lastly, we just urge the police to strive harder to communicate with the people in the industry in entertainment, so that we're on the same page. I mean, it was only a week before my event I knew that I had to get the complaints task force to assess my venue, to give me numbers, and that's only because I made a phone call to ask what's going on, and it shouldn't be like that, right? So there needs to be a central area for information for promoters and entertainers. They can a one-stop shop where they can go and find exactly what they need to do to make the event successful. And promoters, I'm pleading with you to approach the situation differently for those who haven't. It's not about you, it's not about me. It's about the industry itself. It's about the artists, the DJs, the bands, for them to make money to feed their families, to pay their rent. So let's do what we need to do, and work around the current regulations and work with them to get things keeping in St Kitts and Nevis how they should keep.
Within the context of COVID.
Yeah.
Because COVID has changed everything.
Indeed.
For everybody. Not only the entertainment industry, even for us. I mean, our work has suddenly get more difficult. We now have to deal with events. We never deal with events.
Barbecue and
the way that we're dealing with them now. So we suddenly find more things on our plate. And so we want persons to understand that we're not doing it because we don't want you to survive. We don't want you to make money. We're doing it because we want to keep you safe. The recommendations from the health authorities is that you should avoid social gatherings. You should avoid crowds. You should
altogether.
Right, altogether. You should wear a mask. You should hand sanitize. You should do all these things in order to be safe. Your industry is such that you need to do the opposite. In order for the industry to make money, you need to have a big crowd. The bigger the crowd, the more money you make.
Yeah.
Truth.
The closer the people are,
the more fun they have.
The better the session is.
COVID is entertainment's worst.
If you have other mass, the mass is a hindrance to your enjoyment. Because
you can't eat.
You can't
dance. You can't talk properly.
You can't ask a girl for that. She can want to. What you say? What?
And she's shouting in your ear.
So the protocols is really put a damper on your industry. If you were to follow all the protocols, your industry really will shut down, because everything that is required under the protocols, the opposite is required for your industry to succeed. And so we want persons to recognize that it cannot be business as usual. And there must be a middle ground. You must recognize that I can't have 100 people, so I'm going to work with 50.
Mm-hmm.
And you do what you have to do.
And be creative.
To make 50.
Change the nature of the events. And that is what we have been doing. Many people have been doing it, actually. Shannon did it.
Yeah.
I think Kane Juice is doing it in December as well.
And we did it for
downscaling the events. Tropics was down, was sized down. Glee, downsized.
Excuse me. Hello.
With me inside here.
And me over here.
But it was significantly downsized, significantly.
Big time.
You might feel it was big, but it was like half the size it usually is.
Would have been bigger. Yeah, we know.
Right?
But we see what, even at that size, you see what
yes.
What that size could do.
But coming up, you'll see again.
Yeah. So we're just pleading with the promoters to be creative. Find new ways to entertain. I mean, the last events that my organization did, we have never done them before. We edited how we do things to fit the current climate, right? But we need to leave. Jade Busing.
Yes, I am.
We're going like half an hour overtime. How many you VIP buy? It's first time this ever happened.
Half my money.
And I'm hungry. Right? So now he owes breakfast because we're hungry.
Yes.
Anyway, super. Right. Thank you very much for joining us. Very, very fruitful conversation, I believe.
Well, yes. Please stop whispering in my ear, Jade. I know what I'm doing. Jade whispering things similar to already now.
Okay. And you know, we'd love to have you back, you know, sometime soon. Things skipping for November and December?
Well, we have to look and see what happens in the reopening.
That's only gonna buy.
So right now we
expect. So we want to really
approach with caution.
Examine the landscape and see how things work out before we
say things skipping.
So
for those of you listening,
we want to make sure that all the protocols are working the way they should work in terms of persons entering the country. We know that there'll be hiccups. We have never done this before. The protocols are new, so we don't want something go wrong and it cause an effect.
Okay.
Right. So we have to make sure that we have everything tight, and then we could say, okay, we have this under control. So
fair enough.
You could go ahead.
So Cromwell, you'll be back at the end of
November. Have to go.
She's the boss. She'll keep us as long as she wants.
What I was about to say is that you will be back at the end of November to give us like a little update, you know?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay, just making sure. Okay. No, we can go.
Okay. Right.
Well, let me read this flyer before Jade whispers in my ear some more.
That sounds really uncomfortable, Brian.
So the St Kitts and Nevis Bar Association is having a public education symposium on employment law issues, and the presenters have to read the present. Yeah, let me read them. Mr. Shermel James, Mr. Leon Charles, Mr. Keela Brown Edinburgh, and Denise Aline. And this is happening today from 11 to 1 p.m. on Voices on WINN FM 98.9. So tune in and listen.
Brilliant.
And then we'll see Super
end
of November for some more updates and for a fresh set of papers. Because Amali's going to...
It's first time with notes,
He came with an agenda for you, right?
First time.
Wow.
Anyway, we're leaving. Cromwell, thank you very much again.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you and hear you again tomorrow on WINN FM 98.9. This was Island Tea. Drive safely, don't drink too much and drive, and don't forget,
you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you're not a mug.